In this video, we're going to be talking about a technique to show you how to do multi-decoration with rhinestones. Now, you've probably seen plenty of examples where you have a heat press vinyl or a screen print graphic with rhinestones to the outside, where the rhinestones aren't touching the screen printing or aren't touching the heat press vinyl. Those are pretty common. What we're going to be talking about is what to do when we want rhinestones on top of our screen printing or on top of our heat press vinyl. And there's a function here in EasyStone that's going to make that process very easy for you that you probably don't even know you have. So with that said, let me show you the design that we're going to be doing. I'm going to be using my collegiate black font. I'm going to type in the letter U, and I'm going to change the height of my letter U to be 5 inches. So there is 5 inches. And I'm going to duplicate my letter U, and we're going to do the letter C. Okay, now we have a high school by us called Unity Christian, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a design for the back of their sweatshirts for their cheer team. So we have a big UC, and what we're going to be doing is the heat press vinyl will actually be blue. So it's going to be, oh, I don't know. It's going to be a fairly light blue. And then on top of that, we're going to be doing crystal rhinestones on top of that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to select both our letter U and C, come to the Stone Fill tab. We're going to do an 8mm offset, 1 island fill. And you can see now we've offset that. Now this is the path that we're going to be adding our rhinestones to. Now what we need to do is go over to our editing tab. Right here at Break It Nodes, we're going to type in a value of 35 and 140. These are kind of generic values. And basically what that's saying is at any corner that is greater than 35 and less than 140 degrees, break it. Okay? So back over here on the Stone tab, we're going to switch over to our crystal stones. I'm actually using AB crystal for this example. And I'm going to select my letter U and my letter C. Right? And then if I hold down my Alt key and click Add Stones, it has the same effect as Detect Corners. It's just a matter of personal preference of how I like to work. Now, if I look at this in Wireframe Mode, you can see this more specifically. At every corner that met that criteria that we set on the Editing tab, you can see at every single corner, there is in fact a rhinestone at every single corner. Now, if we look over here at the letter C, I do want to point something out to you, is at top here, you can see there's 4 rhinestones coming down, but here there's only 3. Okay? And when we go back to Enhance Mode, you can see that that spacing right there, it doesn't look so good, does it? So let's back up a couple of steps, and we're just going to make a small adjustment to our artwork, right, to our letter C here. So I'm going to convert this to a curve, Control Q, switch over to my Shape Edit tool, grab these 2 nodes, and I just need a pinch. I don't need to make a huge modification. I just need to make a small one. Okay, just add just a little bit of height there. It's going to get the job done. Now I'm going to select my letter U and C, go back to my Stone Fill, 1 offset, still set at 8mm. There it is. And then we're going to select both of those letters, come to the Stone tab, hold down my Alt key, and add stones. And that should give us just enough room for our extra rhinestone there, and our spacing looks a lot better, right? Alright, so now we have our rhinestones in place. Now what we need to do is we need to break the stones. If I go to my View menu here and go to Wireframe, you can see that the path that we added our rhinestones to, right? So we need to get rid of that. So we'll select the entire design, choose Break Stones. That removes the stones from the path. Select the entire design, come over here to Selections, select Define Paths, and that gets rid of all the paths that we applied our stones to. Now the next thing to do is double check our spacing. So we're just going to select all of our stones and choose that Check Spacing option. And all it's doing is looking at our design, looking at every stone, and seeing if there's any stones directly on top of another. And it will find stones that are one on top of another. Because remember, when we add stones to our paths, it always adds a stone to the beginning and ending point every single time. So where two paths intersect, at every corner, there's actually a stone on top of a stone. So that check spacing will go ahead and delete all those overlaps for us. It detects all those overlaps and deletes them for us. So it found the overlaps, so we're going to go ahead and say yes to delete the overlaps, and now we know we don't have any overlapping stones. So now we're going to go back to the View menu and choose Enhanced, and now we're ready to talk a little bit about this technique that we're talking about. Now, right now the letter U and C that in blue, that's going to be our heat press vinyl. Could be our screen printing, whatever. And we're going to be applying rhinestones on top of that. So what we need to actually do then is we need to cut a hole through the letter U and through the letter C so that the glue on our rhinestone will actually adhere to, in this case, our sweatshirt, rather than adhering to our heat press vinyl. So what we're going to do here is select our letter U, select the letter C, and then what we need to do is click Mark Trim Object. Then we're going to select all of our rhinestones. So make sure I get all of my rhinestones selected here. And then for our trim distance, we're going to do a negative value of 1. And we're going to click on Trim Objects. Now it just takes a second to process. And you won't really see a whole lot of change with this design. But if we go to Wireframe Mode, we can see this a little bit better. So if I go to View, Wireframe, if we look, what we did was, just so you understand, the larger circle is our rhinestone. If I click on that large circle and look over here, you can see that, in fact, that is a rhinestone that I have selected, right? The inner circle is the hole that we punch through, in this case, our letter U. This gap distance right here is a 1/2 inch. Remember, we did 1 inch, or excuse me, not a 1/2 inch, but a 1/2 millimeter. Remember, for the trim distance, we typed in -1. So what it did is it made the hole 1 millimeter smaller than the original circle, and so we have a 1/2 inch, or a 1/2 millimeter on this side, and a 1/2 millimeter on this side. So this area right here is where the glue is going to adhere to our sweatshirt. So the illusion will be, if I go back to Enhance Mode, the illusion will be the rhinestone sitting right on top of our screen printing, or right on top of our heat press vinyl, but it actually won't be. It'll actually adhere to the sweatshirt, and that's all there really is to it. So it'll be a really nice look. So then I'm just going to select the whole design, and we're just going to right click to get rid of our black outline on our stones. And now you can see that's kind of what it would look like. And it really gives it a really interesting look where the rhinestones are sitting right on top of our printing. Now, we do have the drag if we are doing heat press vinyl. Obviously, we have the drag of weeding all these little circles, but you can see that's what we would have to do. If we're doing screen printing, then obviously, or even if we were doing, if we had a direct-to-garment printer, although with direct-to-garment printers it's not usually necessary because the stones will stick pretty well to direct-to-garment printing. Just depends on the ink that you're using in your direct-to-garment printer. But at any rate, you get the idea of how to take advantage of that multi-decoration technique. So if you haven't experimented with that, I really encourage you to do that and try it out, because it is kind of a neat feature. And even this is kind of interesting. Even if we were just going to print this letter U and C with this dot pattern around it without rhinestones, could be kind of fun too. So try that out if you haven't already, and I'll try and post an example of a finished sweatshirt with this design so you can see what it would look like finished as well. Thanks for watching.